It's not even thinking outside the box. It's like acknowledging that there is a box that you've been placed in makes you a social heretic. Back to the topic at hand. I've been involved in the criminal justice system, or the criminal injustice system, and I got to witness firsthand how these crazy things play out. There are defense attorneys. Well, my defense attorney, my uncle, he implemented a specific requirement called a voir dire. I'm not even sure. It sounds French, but I looked it up and they said it's an old style English word. Just relates to court proceedings. It was very inspecific, but of course, Google's not going to have 8-year deep embedded term and like a 8-year law student term widely and wildly accessible on their website. That's imagine why you'd have to go to law school. So in the voir dire, the defense attorney usually has jury instructions. Some of those instructions in the voir dire will say you're not allowed to watch TV about this case, and you're not allowed to use social media and discuss, because you might be tainted and discuss this case with anyone on social media. You're not allowed to do certain things. These are just general jury instructions. And the case I was talking about earlier, actually no, this is a separate case, wherein a guy who murdered somebody, and it's caught on tape. A white guy, cop. It's caught on tape, and the jury instructions per this voir dire, it's so corrupt. The jury instructions dictate that nobody is to go online, talk about the case online or with family members or on the phone, and it's just on your honor system. You will believe you if you say you didn't do this, but if we find out you did, then the whole trial can be considered a mistrial. It's a misjudgment or miscarriage of judgment. This is not what we want. You can't be an impartial juror if you find out facts that we will go out of our way to withhold from you. Facts that may determine how you view the suspect, and we don't want you to have a view of the suspect. We want to lay out specific facts that have nothing to do with the suspect's crime, and then tell you why this suspect is a good person, a decent person, and it's just selective information, and I feel that's our system of injustice. Well, in certain cases, the defense or prosecution will leak this information on the internet, in the news, email it directly to you. They'll leak this information that you're not supposed to know, so that the defense or prosecutor can then go back to the judge and say, these people can't carry out their constitutional task. They can't be impartial jurors. They now have circumstantial evidence which will corrupt their views on the proceedings and taint their minds, and we can't go forward with these juries. We have to call a mistrial, in which case the plaintiff gets to walk free for a year or two pending the next trial, if there is to be another trial, or we have to replace these jurors with jurors we really want. And this kind of thing happens a lot in the injustice system. It happens all the time, actually. And the people who leak it are usually the prosecutor or the defense attorney, and they're never held to account. What they're essentially doing is itself a felony. And I don't think you can be a member of the bar. You can't be a bar-holding establishment, court-working lawyer or prosecutor. You can't do your job if you're a criminal. They take your bar, they take your card, they tell you you're not allowed to practice law. That's what's supposed to happen. That's not what happened in this trial that I was just watching. I'm not even watching the trial. This is all pre-trial stuff. Geez, there's a big sofa cushion on the road. That's crazy. So that's what happened. One of the members of the defense for the police officer, they leaked some information. Actually, I think this is a civil suit. It can't be civil. I got to look into this a little bit more. But I went and I checked it out on CNN and ABC. I don't think they're doing any coverage on this case on Fox. And then they were talking about it on another podcast that I listen to, political-oriented podcast. So the defense for the cop leaked this. He didn't leak it. He outright, and they can't prove it was him because he probably had someone else, gave the files to someone else, and had that person send it to. How do you get the members of the jury's emails? How do you send it directly to their emails unless you are part of that process? But the mental gumby gymnastics, anyway. So they're trying to call for a mistrial so that this cop doesn't have to face the music, doesn't have to go through with the actual trial, and he can postpone that trial until they can get a new jury, or probably postponed indefinitely, like the way they're doing it in other cases that I've been following. It's so, our justice system is so fucked. It's so flagrantly evil. It's not justice. Justice is not blind. You can see that if you look at the population in the jails. It's like 65% of all jails are full of brown people. And brown people make up like 30% total, all of them. Like, really? How do we make up 30%? And we make of the whole population of the world, like of the U.S., and we make up almost 70% of the jail. Yeah, so justice is not blind, and the fact that these prosecutors or defense attorneys actually sent the videos of the cops killing this man. First off, I don't think any evidence like that should be inadmissible. You're killing someone, they have it on tape, and you're on trial for murder. How is the actual murder evidence not supposed to be admitted into the trial for a murderer? That's like, you're a robber. You got caught stealing a painting. Your fingerprints are all at the scene, and then you tell the judge, "Judge, there's a video of me doing it, and my fingerprints are all over. But I don't want you to let the jury know about the video of me doing it, and they definitely shouldn't be able to see my fingerprints as evidence. That's some white people shit that only evil white people can get away with saying this is law and it makes sense and we should allow it." And it's like, that's what we're trying to export to other countries. It's so crazy. It's so fucking crazy. It doesn't make any sense. It makes sense in the way that if you acknowledge certain people as inherently corrupt and evil, based off of their treatment of everyone who doesn't look like them, with a history of said activities going back at least 1,000 years, that's documented, and possibly longer, that's undocumented. And then these descendants of these people decided, hey, let's make this system called law and order, where we're the only ones making the rules for hundreds of years. And then now we have precedent, and everyone has to follow that precedent for these rules that we've created. We and we alone have created. And then we're going to go to other countries and tell them they have to follow these rules called law and order that we created. It's not even thinking outside the box. It's like acknowledging that there is a box that you've been placed in makes you a social heretic. Like, there's a box that they've tried to place everybody in. And some people are just like, yeah, it's a box. I'm going along my whole life. It's okay. It's a box. And some people are like, I don't like this box. This box is trash. Who made this box? Let's go back and look at why this box exists. Why am I in this box? Hey, brother, let me stand on your shoulder so I can climb out the box. Don't worry, I'll reach back over to get you out. Like, they call that woke. And I don't know what the hell to call it. I call it acknowledging that these systems are corrupt, built by corrupt people who will always be corrupt. Their kids are going to be corrupt. Their great-grandkids are going to be corrupt. I'm downtown Chicago working, and I see some people, and I see the way they look at me. And I just know that their great-grandkids are going to have that same look towards my great-grandkids. I don't have the luxury of just assuming everything will work out and they're nice. They're not the bad ones. I don't have that luxury. Also, I don't believe it. I believe that their grandparents were dicks who wanted my grandparents not to be able to go to school and to be lynched. And now we're not lynching anymore. I mean, we are still. We, the royal we. They're not lynching anymore as much, but they're still living sheltered lives where they tell everyone that we're the problem, without acknowledging that there are some severe and serious problems that they haven't addressed, that they won't address. If you even talk to white people about racism today, they'll tell you, I have a black friend. I can't be racist. Or I talked to Jamal at lunchtime, or me and Larry comes over to my house with his wife and kids and we watch the football game on Sunday, or my pastor's black. Like, the I know black people argument has been used by the most racist people for a long time. And it's like, how long are you going to use, I'm not racist, racism ended. There's no such thing as slavery anymore. Racism's over. I'm not racist. I can't be racist. How long is that going to be an argument? Moreover, when are these people who aren't racist going to fight against white supremacy? There's no such thing. I read this book. It's a funny book. I like it. I mean, it's not eye-opening. I've been living this my whole life, but I read Ibram X. Kendi's book, Anti-Racism. And in the first, chapter, he's literally like, there's no such thing as I'm not a racist. Racism is an activity. You can't not be a racist. You can be an anti-racist. So the only way to be an anti-racist is to fight against racism, to hate racism, to hate white supremacy and the ideals of it. And while that's social heretic type thought, people allowed that man. I mean, some people allowed him. I allowed him. I think he's a genius. I mean, he put what I've been thinking into words into a book, and that book sold millions of copies. And he gets to go on tour and talk to people about his brand of ideology. And I would never have said before I read that book, you can't not be a racist. You can only be racist or anti-racist. I would never have put that into words because it's just assumed. Like you either fight the system or you're for the system. And the people who say they're not racist, they're never going to fight racism or white supremacy. They think that shit's normal. It's a fish in water. That's how I used to describe it. It's a fish in water. You tell a fish, how's the water? And they look at you and say, what water? That's how I used to describe it for the longest time. You have to fight against the water, the racism. You have to fight against the white supremacy. You got to fight against all of these systems that are there for you. And it's harder to get a camel through the eye of a needle than to get a white person to say, you know what? I'm fighting anybody who doesn't think you deserve 100% equality. Those people I'm down for. Those are my comrades. I'm down for those people. I'm not that old. Just had my 37th birthday. I haven't met 3 of those people in my entire life. No, and it's not like I live a sheltered 10-mile life. I didn't grow up 10 miles away from where I'm going to die. And I ain't dead yet. And I've traveled around the world a bit. I've been to different countries. I've been to different states in America. I've been all over America. Me and the wife just did a road trip all the way across the face of white America. Had some crazy run-ins with the police. I'll get into that in another story, but I'm a traveled man. I have education. I read books and haven't met one person who's white who says, I'm an anti-racist. I'm down for whatever. I'm riding. I see him on the news. See him on TYT Network. I see the people who say they are. They're the same people who would try to police my language. If I say white people do this and white people do that, they would tell me I'm wrong. Like I was saying, I just got a phone call. I didn't think that could happen. I gotta put on my do not disturb. But these are the same kind of people. The TYT people are the same kind of people who keep equating transgender rights and homosexuals with the struggle of black people. Now, I'm not against any transgender, and I'm not for any type of oppression. But for white people to tell me my struggle and their struggle is the same, I find that problematic sometimes. I mean, I find that problematic all the time. Like, and I'm not going to bring up Mr. Chappelle because he put it the way only he could put it. And I find that I watched it. I find that how I find it. Opinions notwithstanding on comedic satire. Even on TYT, I don't see a lot of people who are comfortable saying white before they talk about something. They'll say, these people, oh my gosh, they'll talk about some seriously racist stuff and then say, one of my favorite hosts on there will say, I don't get why these people are like this. Well, you got to call a thing a thing. You say, I don't get why these white people are being like this. You got to just say it. They're so uncomfortable saying the word white before anything else because they allude to the fact that they believe in the ideology of individualism. Close that off. They don't believe in the ideology of individualism. They say that everybody's an individual. There's no such thing as collective, and we're not this, that, and the other. And we're all Well, if we're all individuals, then you should be okay with saying the word white sometimes. If they're not okay with saying it, I'm okay with saying black. My wife's okay with saying Filipina. Mexicans usually are okay with saying paisa or some other like somewhat derogatory term when they're talking about their own people. White people have not got on board with saying white yet. White is like the N-word for them. It's worse than the N-word for them. I don't get it. There's very few other ways. I mean, you leave yourself very little discourse. or recourse. I mean, there's very few ways to describe some white people doing some white people shit without saying some white people shit, or white people in general, or just white. You can't say certain things that have certain meanings without acknowledging who's doing the thing. And I don't know. I find like TYT slowly, like it's political affiliations and ideology is like a bus. I get off at my stop. I don't ride that bitch to the lake. I'm not going to the lake. I'm going to the bus, and I'm getting on the bus, and the bus is taking me north. And then when I get to my stop, and when I see that bus getting ready to turn left, and there's a ledge there, and the bus is like, all right, we're going down this way. I'm like, all right, I'm off this bus. Not saying that I have any animus towards people of any type of ideology. I'm pro-black. I will always be pro-black. Be one. No matter what, in this world, if you're black first. You're not a general. You're not the attorney general. You're the first black attorney general. You're black. You're not an astronaut. You're the first black female astronaut. You're not gay. You're not trans. You're a black trans. You're a black LGBTQIA+. You're black first, and that's where I'm at. That's where I started, and I'll always be there. So I don't equate my struggle with anyone else unless it's our struggle first. Any other struggle you have, you're gonna have struggles, and I just feel like TYT's kind of fallen off. They make some funny some of the commentary is it's funny. Some of the commentary is very serious, but they always fall short when it comes to talking about white people. A white guy who shot up a Walmart in Texas because, and they said a deranged individual shot up a Walmart in Texas, and he had like a manifesto and said he wanted to kill as many Mexicans and black people as he could. And he did that. He killed as many black people as he could. I would have said a racist, sociopathic white male shot up a Walmart because he wanted to kill all the Mexicans and blacks he could. Whenever there's an issue where white people are doing bad things, like they will talk about Mitch McConnell, they'll call Mitch McConnell racist, but they won't call him a white racist male. And that distinction, there's a big canyon. There's a vast fissure. I don't. It just, you gotta make that jump, man. You can't. And as far as I'm seeing, you can't just talk about someone without talking about somebody. And when you're talking about somebody, you got to be specific.